Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. We're going to talk about a couple stories here. Actually, one story, Grayscale and their lawsuit against SEC to convert their basically trust, GBTC trust, into an ETF. That decision might be coming down here within possibly this week or possibly by the end of this month. So we're going to take a look at that. And then we're also going to take a look at the miners, which are currently the most undervalued and the ones that are also overvalued, based on market cap by petahash or exahash, and then market cap by BTC produced. All those things, we're going to look at a couple metrics and come up with possibly whether they are undervalued or overvalued. Okay. But as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice. For entertainment only, please do your own research, and I'm investing in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, like I always say, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. So let's get into the first story that we have here, and then we'll get into the actual undervalued, overvalued part of it. Okay, so Grayscale decision versus SEC may come today, which was yesterday or at the latest Friday. I thought this was interesting, and there's some things to be kind of worried about depending which way this goes. There are some signs that point to this being a positive, possibly that this is going to get in favor of Grayscale, but we'll see, right? So here's the details on it. Bloomberg senior ETF analyst Eric B. stated that a potentially momentous decision from the SEC concerning Grayscale investments could be revealed today, August 15th, so that was yesterday, or at the latest this Friday, August 16th. And here's why they think that. Grayscale contention with the SEC is tied to its proprietary interests and has broader implications for the crypto industry, which I do believe. I think we've been trading kind of sideways right now with Bitcoin, maybe because of this impending news here. So if they win the case, that means Grayscale, Bitcoin's probably going to shoot up. If they lose the case, we may be coming down a little bit here. But the firm initially filed to list the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust GBTC for trading on the New York Stock Exchange Arca Exchange, a request rejected by the SEC in 2022. Grayscale counteracted with legal challenge, arguing that the SEC's approval of Bitcoin futures ETFs while denying spot Bitcoin ETF applications represent an apparent inconsistency in policy, which I would agree. Right? You're going to allow one, but you're not going to allow the other one. Inconsistencies. Multiple asset managers, including BlackRock, ARK Invest, and Van Eck, have recently submitted spot Bitcoin ETF filings for the ETP. I wonder if that should be ETF filings to the SEC. These filings detail intended surveillance sharing agreements with crypto exchange Coinbase, a move some believe could be the key to SEC approval. Grayscale, however, insists that surveillance sharing with an unregulated platform like Coinbase is not enough to meet the criteria for approving a Bitcoin ETP based on prior SEC indications, right? SEC has always been saying that there's just too much shenanigans in the Bitcoin markets, that there's fraud and things like that. So that's the reason why they've always denied ETFs for Bitcoin, spot Bitcoin ETF. Timeline and outliers for decisions. So intriguingly, Belchunas shared a post from Scott Johnson, a finance lawyer who shed light on the potential timeline for Grayscale's case. According to Johnson, 94% of the cases argued in March 2021 and 2022 received decisions within 160 days of oral arguments. Currently, 160 days have passed since Grayscale's oral argument in March 2023, suggesting that a verdict is imminent. So that would be interesting if we get that by Friday even. Johnson also highlights the typical procedure of DC law clerks cycling in and out in August, propelling judges to clear the caseloads before the new incumbents arrive. Given this pattern, he suggests we might expect a decision in August. I mean, we still have a couple weeks left in August, but nonetheless, if we get it, that would be fantastic. And I think that's it on this. So, like I said, if it's in favor of Grayscale, I think Bitcoin's going to probably shoot up a little bit. If it goes against Grayscale, well, then Bitcoin, I think, might come down a little bit more. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin at the end of the video here, see what's going on. It's down a little bit today. It's bouncing off of our support line at 28,600. And we'll take a look at what's going on there overall. But if we did get it, I think that would be kind of cool. That'd be kind of nice for the crypto space in general. Okay? So let me know what you guys think down below. If you guys think Grayscale is going to get it, or if you disagree that they're not going to get it, let me know. Love to hear what you guys' thoughts are on it. Okay, so now let's take a look at possibly some of the Bitcoin miners that are overvalued and undervalued. I do this about once a month, and I look at market cap, the current market cap of each of these miners. This has been updated for today's numbers, so closing up today. And their hash rate, we're looking at current hash rate, future hash rate, Bitcoins. Currently, their HODL position, getting that taken out of the market cap as well. And I'll explain all this stuff to you guys. And we have, I think, 6 metrics here that we look at. grade these by basically if the pink line, or it's kind of like, I don't know, what's like a peach line on the graph here, is above the green line, then I grade it as a -1, meaning it's undervalued. If the green line is above the burgundy line here, then it's overvalued. So I give it a 1. So that's how I score these. And you guys will see the scores down below. So the first metric that we have is market cap versus hash rate. And this is for current hash rate. And we have the current hash rate reported as the white numbers here on the burgundy bars. And then the 147, like for this one, for Bit Digital, is actually the how much hash rate, this would be per petahash, I believe, that they're getting basically for the market cap of it. So with Bit Digital, for instance, they have 1.78 exahash. They're basically getting 147,000 for that 1.78 exahash, or per petahash of that. So I hope that makes sense. BitDeer, so you can see here, so obviously our goal right now would be undervalued based on this number. BitDeer is a little bit tricky because they have so many different segments of the business that they deal with. They got hosting, self-hosting, like renting of machines as well, and other things in there. I'm just counting their current hash rate for self-mining. We could possibly include all of that going forward. We'll see how this stacks up. But right now, it looks like they're way overvalued based on just their self-mining. So I think going forward, I will include possibly their other business segments and what their hash rate is. Total, I think it's over like close to 20 exahash, I think, right now. But I'll have to take a look at some numbers for them as well on that, okay? Bitfarms, you can see here, is undervalued. Cypher's undervalued just barely here. CleanSpark is undervalued, definitely for sure. Core Scientific, well, we know Core Scientific is in bankruptcy. That's the reason why. DigiHost, based on the 913 petahash that they have, they're getting 46,000 per petahash to market cap value. That's a lot. Same thing with DMG. DMG is only 917 petahash, and they're at 51,000 here. Hive is at 3.4, almost 3.5 exahash. They're getting 100,000 for their part of it. And if you look at some of the other ones here, like Bitfarms is only getting 68K. Who else is down here pretty low? Argo, well, Argo is having a tough time anyways right now. Trying to see if there's anybody else. Iris is only getting 47, right? Even though they're at 5.5. So there's some things you can look at here also. Hut8 right now is getting 219,000 per petahash with only 2.6 exahash roughly. So that's definitely way overvalued for them. Marathon is getting 125,000 per petahash, and they're at 18.8 exahash right now. So definitely undervalued there. Riot, same thing. They're at 10.7 exahash, and they're being valued at 226. And then you got Sphere here. That's at 1.1 exahash. They're getting valued at 20. Sphere is obviously concerned for a lot of the investors because of their slow growth over the past year. It's gotten a lot better here in the last couple of months. And also their cash burn is a little bit of a concern there. Stronghold is also another one that's pretty low. I think it's one of the lowest ones here is being valued at right now at 13.1K per petahash, even though they have 3.4 exahash installed. And that could be because of the cash burn for them as well. They're just burning through cash like crazy. Not a lot of assets on hand, and quite, not I wouldn't say too high, but definitely high debt on that one. TeraWolf is at 4.9 exahash. They're getting at 95, so they're also undervalued here as far as that is concerned. Okay, and then when we take a look at market cap minus HODL, so we're taking out the HODL position or what the HODL is valued at, and that is based on the Bitcoin average price for the month so far. And so this is for our month of August. And then we're looking at the hash rate again, where they are with the current hash rate. So we can still see that Argo will be still undervalued, Bit Digital will be overvalued, BitDeer overvalued, Bitfarms undervalued, Cypher undervalued, CleanSpark undervalued, Core undervalued, and you got DigiHost overvalued, DMG overvalued. Hive would be actually undervalued here based on this. Hive does have quite a bit of HODL, not as much as Hut8 or Riot or Marathon, but they do have a nice stack there. Hut8 has now come down, so if you take out their HODL, you can see it's almost half of the value that they were getting per petahash here. It's down to 116,000 per petahash. And then we get Iris. Iris is pretty much the same. They don't HODL anything. Marathon came down here a little bit, but still way undervalued, in my opinion. Riot, still a little bit undervalued right now. Sphere, same thing, undervalued, and undervalued as well for TeraWolf on that one. Okay, so that's how that kind of stacks up. Market cap to future hash rate. So this is what has been reported as far as being purchased by all of these guys. and where they're going to be at the end, well, once all of that gets installed here. So we're just thinking that if investors are forward-looking, how does that stack up to future growth, basically? So Argo at this point would be actually overvalued at this point right now. Bit Digital would be overvalued. BitDeer would be overvalued. Bitfarms would be undervalued. Cypher would be overvalued. CleanSpark would be undervalued. Core would be undervalued. DigiHost would be overvalued. DMG would be overvalued. Hive would be overvalued. Hut8 would be also overvalued. Iris would be overvalued. And Marathon, Riot, Sphere, Stronghold, and TerraWolf would be undervalued based on these numbers here currently. Actually, TerraWolf would be actually overvalued a little bit here, it looks like. I see a slim little green bar there. So it's really close. It could be like fairly valued there. Okay. Next, what I'm looking at here is the current Bitcoin average price for the month of August, dividing it by the market cap and looking at their current BTC production for the month of July. Okay. So based on this, Argo mined 129 Bitcoins for the month of July. They're getting basically 1.94 thousand per Bitcoin being mined, right? Yep, 1.94 thousand per Bitcoin mined. So if we do the math here really quick, let me pull up my calculator on my phone. Does that make actually sense? Let me see here. Take a look at it here. So 1,940 times 129. Right, 184,000. Sorry, it's 184,000, not 1.94. So that makes more sense. 194,000 times the 129 Bitcoins. That would give them the market cap of 25 million, which is where they're at right now. Okay, so that makes more sense. So Bit Digital would be slightly undervalued here with 133 Bitcoin mined in July with getting a value of 896,000 per Bitcoin. BitDeer at 220, they're getting 54,000, but then again, they also, like I said, have other business segments, so we'll have to update this maybe a little bit for them. Bitfarms is only getting 12, is it 12,000? Jeez, I should have probably put that, trying to make this sense out of this. 1,000, so if we add 1,000 to that, we're looking at 124,000, right, per Bitcoin. So they're down quite below that for 378. Cypher is getting 286,000 per Bitcoin. I just want to make sure that I'm doing this right for you guys. Let me see here. 286,000 times the 418. That would give us the 119. They're higher than that. So it's 2.8 million. That should have probably been in millions, I'm guessing. CleanSpark is getting 32,000 for each 1,000. Hold on. Let's take a look down here because I'm getting myself mixed up here. How do I have this here? Okay, 1,193. Why does it say K on it? 56 market cap. How many Bitcoins go into it? 1,939. So it's 1.94 thousand. That's correct. Okay. So that goes into it 1.94 thousand times into it. Okay. Core Scientific, CleanSpark would be undervalued. CleanSpark would be undervalued as well. DigiHost would be undervalued. DMG would be undervalued by that. Hive would be undervalued. Hut8 would be overvalued here. Iris undervalued along with Marathon, just barely here. And then Riot would be overvalued. Sphere would be undervalued. Stronghold would be undervalued. And TerraWolf would be undervalued. Market cap per BTC mined. So this we're looking at the actual BTC number that they mined for the market cap. So Argo is getting 0.44 million for each Bitcoin that's being mined. They're undervalued based on that. Bit Digital is getting 1.98 million for each Bitcoin being mined. BitDeer is getting 7.24 million for every Bitcoin being mined. Bitfarms is getting 0.96 for every Bitcoin. They're undervalued here. Cypher is undervalued for what they mined. CleanSpark is undervalued as well. Core is undervalued. DigiHost is undervalued. DMG is, overvalued along with DMG. Hive is undervalued. Hut8 is overvalued. Iris is undervalued. Marathon undervalued. Riot would be overvalued. And then the rest three here are also undervalued based on these numbers. So here we're just looking at how many Bitcoins they mine, what are they getting for each Bitcoin valued for their market cap. basically on that. And you can see how that has stacked up. Then when we take out the HODL for this, things look a little bit different here for some of these miners. We can see that Argo is still undervalued at that point. BitDigital will be overvalued now, along with BitDeer. Bitfarms, Cypher, CleanSpark, Core are still undervalued. DigiHost, DMG overvalued. Hive would be undervalued. Hut8 would be overvalued, and then Iris and Marathon would be undervalued. Riot would be actually at this point overvalued. Sphere would be undervalued, along with Stronghold and TerraWolf. Okay, so those are all the metrics that I can take a look at. This is in conjunction with other metrics that we take a look at for the monthly production, see how well the miners do stacked against each other. And also when we have all the quarterly results, we'll take a look at those quarterly results for debt, net assets, how much they HODL, all of that stuff goes into it as well for more of a combination view on things, how things have stacked up here. So this is just one of the metrics that I use to gauge whether or not a company is undervalued or overvalued. So here's how everything's stacked up here. You can see the numbers being inputted in here on that. You can also see the numbers for all the different metrics, how they are being provided. And then when we look at the total results here for this, let's do this ascending, excuse me. We can now see that currently with Bitcoin coming down, a lot of the miners have been down this past week as well. We can see that Bitfarms, CleanSpark, Core Scientific, Marathon, Sphere 3D, Stronghold are all way undervalued here currently. Argo, Cypher, Iris, TerraWolf are slightly more than average undervalued. And then you get Hive, which is just slightly undervalued. Riot, with having basically zero here, is more or less equally valued right now. BitDigital, DigiHost, DMG, BitDeer, and Hut8 are all overvalued, with BitDeer and Hut8 potentially being way overvalued based on numbers. With Hut8, the investors could be looking for their merger with USBTC, and that's maybe why the stock has been up more than it probably should be based on the production and everything else, the efficiencies that they've had in the last 6 months, even more. But yeah, this is kind of interesting to take a look at how things look just by market cap to exahash to Bitcoin being mined and Bitcoin price per stock and everything else. Let me know if you guys agree with these numbers or if you don't. If you think some are in the wrong position than where they should be, let me know down in the comments below. Love to hear from you guys there. And let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin right now, because Bitcoin is actually coming down here a little bit today. And we'll take a look to see what's going on. So as you can see, Bitcoin today went down to, well, it was down 1.61%. It closed at 28,700. Pretty close to our support range here, which is at right around 28,600. We have obviously broken past this now. We have broken past it before. We have come close a couple of times here, once, twice, 3 times to our support line. Now today, 3rd time, and then going into tomorrow, it's gonna be the 4th time or 5th time. So the more times that we get close to the support line and it doesn't hold, the more likely we are to fall below it. Currently, with the impending news on the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF saga with the SEC lawsuit, we may find out either this week or sometime in the next week or so what the verdict is on that, whether they won or if the SEC won. And if the SEC won, they're probably going to be coming down. If they did win, then I think there's going to be a boom for Bitcoin. So right now, we may be heading downwards a little bit more, and that might stop at our next support line, which is going to be our 200 daily moving line, which is at 27,314. Now, if that doesn't hold, we may be looking at our 200 weekly is right at that same line right now. So not much of a difference there between those two currently. If that doesn't hold, we might be coming down here to our previous bottom here, which was at 24,800, something like that, where we bounced off of that. But we'll have to take a look to see where it goes. Obviously, I would imagine that we'd probably bounce off of the 200 weekly moving line, which is the red line here. We've also bounced off of the 200 daily moving line before, so we might bounce off of that. So that's kind of where I'm looking for Bitcoin to possibly go in the short term, in the next couple days to a couple weeks. And I've kind of been saying that I think Bitcoin's gonna be coming down for a while. It's taken a long time for it to come down. I've been saying that it should be coming down ever since I saw the stuff coming in over here. So it's been at least a month and a half that I've been saying I think Bitcoin's gonna be coming down, is finally now doing it. But I think we're gonna probably bounce off of this going forward. And depending on the news that we get, well, then we might be coming down to the 23,800 if that doesn't hold here, and possibly bounce off of that going forward. We still have at least 7.5 months to go before the Bitcoin halving event, so we'll see. We got plenty of time. Now is still, I think, an excellent time to dollar cost average in, especially when miners come down. If you got cash sitting on the sidelines, definitely, buy the dips and dollar cost average in as best you can before we get into the after halving event where Bitcoin's going to go up, miners are going to go up at that point as well. But like I said, it's still, we're a ways out before that all happens. So markets were down today as well. So you guys can see that Ethereum was also down today. Let's see how Ethereum is doing as well. And that is actually below the 200 weekly moving average here right now. That one might bounce off of the 200. Oh, sorry, bounced off. It's below the 200 daily moving average. It might bounce off the 200 weekly moving average, which would be about 1,623 if that holds. Okay, but but it looks like the R side is pretty low here on the day. I wouldn't expect it to go too much lower than that. You can see here that we have bounced previously pretty low here. We bounced here as well. So I would imagine we might come down here to maybe right around here someplace to 1,721 before we bounce off again. Okay, miners were down also this trading day, with the exception of Bitdeer being up another 5.92%. Greenage was up 5.18%, and Soluna was up 0.18% on the day. Other than that, everybody here was down. Course was down quite a bit, 10%. Everybody else was in their low digits, somewhere, low digits here, with Mawson being also down 10% on that one. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, Thursday. Tomorrow, Thursday, we'll just talk about Bitdeer as well. They reported their quarterly results, so we'll take a look at what's going on there, and then we'll see what happens on Friday. See if we get any news. We'll see if we can maybe run some other metrics. We're still waiting on a couple. We're waiting for Mawson, I think, to report their production updates for July as well. Then we have a couple miners that still haven't provided their quarterly results. So once that all comes in, we'll do the quarterly results metrics on those miners, and we'll put a grade on them at that point. Okay, so that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. The spreadsheet is going to be available to my Patreon members there. Thank you for everyone there for the continued support. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys in the next one.